All right, so tonight I wanted to talk about how I not only run multiple LLMs or multiple agents at the same time, and what that tends to look like and what you can expect out of it, but also the size of queries that I'm running at any given time. And so if we dig in, I'll sort of show that right now I'm working on a query that's rebuilding from the ground up um, all of all of the code. It's not going to rebuild everything, but it's going to rebuild um, the fact that I made the mistake of implementing the system using the sync variants of file system queries, which is really, you shouldn't do it from a performance perspective, but I did, so I can admit that. And so we have a query going right now. It's on the mode of running tests. So we'll just hit allow, tab to the next window. And in this window, we have a much larger query, and I wanted to show kind of what it looks like when we do run a larger query. But to understand kind of what I'm pursuing here, it's basically that in the microhost system, we have this idea where you could list files inside of a package. I'm sorry, inside of your current working directory. And then what it's going to do is it's going to find all of the packages. So here it's found the search package, and inside the search package, because we, of course, at this command right here, we asked to get all files in the API path. I can make it a little bit bigger, too much bigger. We wanted to get all files in the API path, and then it's returning to us, here's all the packages. And as well, so it's basically said that here's the search package, and here's all the files inside the API folder. Here's the email package, and here's all the files inside the API folder. You sort of get it. And so if I was to go into like one of these folders, for example, and rerun it, it's no longer going to get us the packages because we've descended into the crawler directory. So same thing, if we went up, a few levels and we went like into a different directory, this time microhost did the same thing, we should expect that it's only going to list stuff that's in this microhost folder. So packages that it finds, and then files within the respective API folders. So the problem with this was that basically, like, what I noticed was that I didn't really have a uniform, there should be a uniform way. There's a difference between, like, let's say list files versus list all files. And so if I go back again and we show list all files under the path of API, I think right now there's not only no command running, have to go even see here. If we went into the file system, micro list scripts, for example, list scripts would be another one. And this is telling us what, and in fact, it's going to be much easier to just go navigate the scripts folder. But it's telling us all the possible scripts that we can execute for this package. And so there might be an argument inside here, and there is, in fact. It's just all, right? But basically, like, I approached this in a non-standard way. So if we did all, I'm sorry, let me put that. So if we're doing the all, and we're going to obviously get a lot of API files at that point. So here all we're doing is we're passing the all command, and now we should be getting packages, API files returned from all of the packages in our file system. But the problem is that this interface is not very standard. It's not standard, and it was kind of put together. And so what I've done is I've come up with a larger query, and this is kind of what I specifically set out to show. And I basically included all of the current variants of scripts like this, and I've kind of indicated via these instruction files. For instance, like this is an instruction file that just talks about how to make a new executable script. This is an instruction file that talks about that sort of, the significance of being in that current working directory and get all the packages in this tree in the file system and so forth. So I've included all of the relevant instruction files. I've included all of the relevant CLI files as well. And then the prompt down here basically just says like, hey, and you can see it's not, you can get a sense of kind of like how much text I'm putting in here. It's not huge, but it's not small. And I think what's crazy is that I maybe almost executed that by accident with Claude Sonnet. I'm going to go back over to this window and verify that, in fact, my goodness, I was not using I was not using Opus. So let's go back here. Let's hit continue to iterate, and then we're going to go tab switch here. And I think we're just going to run it, and we're going to see what it does. I can already see some other changes that I might want to make based on just my own knowledge of the particular APIs there. But in general, like the idea here is that we're running multiple agents in concurrence. And that's probably, for me, that's the way that I have found, sometimes this will take a while to execute. And so what you're trying to do is minimize the amount of time where you're just waiting on the LLM. And a lot of memes exist about how, like, I mean, you could call it like go get a cup of coffee, but I think I'm not even tapped into what the vibe coder memes are of what you do while you're waiting for your LLM to write code. But I'm advocating you want to minimize downtime with that, and instead you want to be basically tabbing between your different agents that are running, kind of quickly scanning, like here. In this case, I think it's just trying to figure out what it's doing, and then I might on another window. Like over here, I might do some chore work right now. And I should note as well that in my case, these are all different VMs, where this is 2 VMs split across 3 separate OS users. But you could do this on your own system just by opening new folders in VS Code. So I think we could keep the video as short as that. I just wanted to show how you can kind of navigate using multiple agents at once. Your goal is to reduce the amount of time in which you're waiting. And we can see it already it's asked me to, continue approving. And you really want to just be popping between these. And like I said, like if I was to just keep going, more than likely I would just start planning out a new prompt in this window. And I've gotten it to a point of maybe like running, I'd say 3 or 4 at a time. The downside of that is that you can get into a place where you've generated so much code that you kind of bottleneck yourself with time it takes to review. And that comes to the other side of the problem, like where I showed you in this prompt, that we originally submitted, where we're pursuing attaching relevant instruction files. So that way you're generally hoping that when the LLM generates code, it's going to be basically in the realm of what you'd want to see. So that's it. That's all for today. And we'll pick this up again tomorrow or whenever I shoot next.